get to the meat of it, this is why we got together. I found Hong Kong Outsider to join us today. Hong Kong Outsider, well, I'll let them do the talking, but it started from a pretty deep low point, if I understood correct, and it grew into something very positive and optimistic, using the wilderness to be better. So I want to introduce I want to invite Yamilette, Roland, and Matthew to the stage. Please give a big round of applause. So it's going to be a little different this month. Instead of one speaker telling their story and getting us inspired, it's going to be more of a panel. So, Yamilette, I'm going to give you the mic. You're going to take over. And I'm really looking forward to hearing Roland and Matthew talk about Hong Kong Outsider. Here you go. One more big round of applause, please.
Thank you, Mark. If you need any tips about your arms, talk to me. Hi, my name is Yamilette, and I'm the head of communications of HK Outsider, but I'm also a professional speaker and a trainer, and the better half here. A couple of hats. And we're very, very happy to have you here. Thank you, as Mark was saying, coming up in the morning this early. I feel you. I'm not an early person. And especially now we have a newborn baby, so I feel okay.
Zero sleep.
But thank you for being here and talking all about wilderness. And we are going to let Roland and Matthew talk more about it, because even though I'm here helping them, they're the ones that go in the field, the hikes, all the adventures. In HK Outsider, we focus on the environment and bringing individuals together through the activities in wilderness and adventure therapy. So here we have Roland Sherman. He's the founder, adventure CEO of HK Outsider, and he will let you know the story about how it started. And Matthew, who recently joined, he's assistant guide, and he's been also a force to reckon with in these past few months. So please welcome back Roland and Matthew. I would like just to introduce yourself. How did HK Outsider come to be? What happened? How did you start?
Firstly, I apologise. The panel idea was mine because I tend to go off on tangents and stories and things like that. And yeah, it's very good at bringing you back on topic. So trust me, this is the way to do it. HK Outsider was very organically grown. I was facing many personal challenges probably about 10, 15 years ago. And struggling with all sorts of things. I was going to Hong Kong, Yes, boss. I was in a very, very dark place. And I realised at one stage when things were at their worst that I needed to do something drastic. And for me, it was about trying to break habits, good habits, bad habits, to break myself down. I talked about peeling the layers of onions, but that was really getting back to basics of who I was and trying to build myself back up again. It started with simple things like, instead of watching TV, which I love, there's nothing kind of story, read a book. Instead of lying around, go for a walk. Even if you're walking around young, I'd say streets, it doesn't have to be in the country. Just get out there and walk a path and try and find something new for yourself. And then I loved hiking, I loved the outdoors, I loved the wilderness. And I'll talk more about that later. But for me, over the years, I've got incredibly scared of heights. I mean, seriously scared of heights. I used to go with my children to the roller coasters, things like that, and I was literally trying to fight my way up, knowing I lost my mind, trying to fight my way out of these things before it got me. So I thought, okay, I need to challenge myself to get over this fear. So I learned how to rock climb and convert a squash course in Kowloon with a Chinese guy. And I was 2 meters off the ground, I was scared stiff. But it didn't stop me. I wanted to do more. And this guy was the founder of a sport we call canyoning in Hong Kong. Canyoning is the pursuit of entering a gorge or a ravine, a flowing river, and working your way down using various forms, from abseiling or rappelling for those from America, trip jumping, down climbing, all sorts of different things, just to work your way down. And I discovered this real connection with nature that I never had before, particularly with water. I mean, water is literally the essence of life, and how the way it flows through, over the waterfalls, then through the creeks, and the power and the energy and the noise. It was an emotional journey as well as a physical journey, and I really connected with it. And from there, I loved canyoning, and then I started exploring more parts of Hong Kong. You know, all these weird and wonderful places. I don't know if you've been on our website or seen Instagram. We have all these places, but they're not far from main trails. It's just the fact that they're often paths slightly. So I went on to discover things, looking at climbing areas, and started connecting paths and doing different things, making these multidisciplinary kind of routes. And I was in love, and I found a new part of myself, and I discovered myself. I'll talk more about the emotional side of it perhaps later on. But then I started taking some friends out, perhaps I thought needed a new direction in life. And that's how it started. I started an Instagram account. I'm not a photographer. I know how to take a photo, I know how to compose a photo, I know how to edit a photo basically. And I started the Instagram account, and it all grew from there. In fact, this is what maybe brought out my creative side. And Yamilette being in the space has also helped me develop my creative side as well. So that's really the essence of how it started.
That's where your wilderness journey started.
Yes.
What about you, Matt? Because Matt, he was born here in Hong Kong. He's of British descent. He was in the British military, but now he's an educator and also an entertainer. If anybody has an event and needs a magician, he's great. I go. But how has it been your story with wilderness? And then when you came across HK Outsider?
So, obviously with a military background, I've always been quite avid with the outdoors, and I love hiking, I love camping, and exploring. I'm a very curious individual, hence becoming a magician. I like to know how things work. But yeah, being outdoors has a really healing effect on me. I just love being out, unplugged, away from the city, away from people, which the case is the complete opposite now because everybody's out hiking during the pandemic. So. But yeah, I first discovered HK Outsider through word of mouth. And Instagram, obviously. I see people on Instagram going out, and I said, where is that? Firstly, because I wanted to go and seek out that waterfall or that river, that trail. And then HK Outsider kept popping up. Oh, go out with HK Outsider. And it was only 2 months ago I contacted Roland and asked to come along. He said it was fully booked, but he allowed me in by chance. And yeah, so that was my introduction to canyoning. And on that day, Roland actually, finding out about my background, offered me to join the team. And yeah, I've been going out almost every weekend for the past 2 months, and it's been great.
I did some dressing.
Thank you. So if you were to tell me in one word, how do you feel connected to wilderness, Roland and then Matthew? How is wilderness important to you?
I think it's a story of growth. The wilderness, unlike the world we live in now, we control the light, we control the refrigeration, and everything in our world, we have the ability to control it to a certain degree. In the wilderness, you don't have that control. And if you can, and this is the thing, you can interact with it, you're engaging, you're present, but you don't understand what's going to happen next. It's a living thing, there's lots of organics and everything's going on. You really have no control, especially when the weather season's coming. So if you can get comfortable in that environment, you live in that environment, that's how you grow and understand yourself, and you gain confidence and empowerment through that process. And then we add the activities on top of that, where you're challenging yourself with perhaps not people you know, because that's what we're about. We're about bringing individuals in. You challenge yourself, and then you can overcome some of your personal boundaries, whatever they may be. You just have that sense of achievement. You go back to your everyday life, and you feel like if you've got an asshole of a boss, you don't really bother about it too much. You just get on because you feel that sense of achievement, that sense of empowerment.
So to me, it's getting out of your comfort zone. As Roland was saying, surrounded by electricity, power, running water, and warmth and air conditioning. By removing yourself from that and going out into somewhere which is less comfortable, it makes you appreciate life a little bit more than what you have, especially camping. When you're camping just on a roll mat, not luxury camping or anything, on a camp bed or anything, literally a roll mat on the floor. When you go back to your bed that night, your bed is the most bloody amazing thing that you've ever experienced. You really take these things for advantage. And yeah, that's what I have to say on that. You're not supposed to be in these man-made structures in this environment by default. We're not meant to be in these surroundings. So kind of getting back to your roots, getting back to nature, I think is really important.
Super. I'm going to include the audience now. I'm going to change it a little bit. And it wasn't in the script, but I like shaking things up. Can someone tell me what wilderness means to you? So I'm going to take you with the glasses, your name.
I think it's to do with balance as well, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying, we're not meant to spend all our time in perfectly symmetrical rooms with really nice furniture, right? Sometimes it's just you need a little bit of spice in your life, right? And the wilderness is great for that, right? Like a little bit of unexpectedness or your fortune, right? Just to keep your interest. And I think that's where you can find the balance between like having beautiful manicured things and then just living.
I like that, spicy balance. Lovely lady there sitting with the crust.
Wilderness. Well, I'll be honest, I don't get out into the wilderness that often.
That's going to change.
But I guess for me, especially at this current moment, it's very much about like shaking off the monotony of everyday life, and it gives you the chance to kind of view life in a kind of wondrous way and be like, oh, that's kind of gross, but I don't see that every day, but it's weird, so that's interesting about life in general, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best I can do.
Thank you. What about you, Mark? What is wilderness to you?
So when I try to hike every morning and evening. Work from home most of the time, so that's my commute to work. I leave the door every day, flick aside cones, so I have easy access to a lot of wilderness. The best thing to me being out there is the sound. Just hearing the birds, either on the ground, the leaves, or chirping. That to me is the best thing about wilderness, and that really takes my cortisol level way down.
Super, thank you. And going back to balance, I want to ask Roland and Matthew, with HK Outsider, how do you make sure you balance the wilderness side and the individual development? Because we were saying that HK Outsider is all about putting individuals together and helping them through their development if they're going through any specific issues. So how can we balance that? Let's go out in the wilderness and perhaps take a selfie and just that, and then seeing the importance of developing yourself through wilderness.
Yeah, it's difficult. You look at the website and think, oh God, that's some hardcore stuff. But actually, it's not. We do design our activities for beginner level, just because of advanced stuff. But everything we do begin to do for the individual mind that hasn't really got themselves into that environment before. And we're conscious of people's abilities, just sometimes just going for a walk around the corner on the beach is adventure for some people. Everyone has different limits and different levels. And it's down to us as the guides and instructors to really understand people. I mean, I genuinely speak to the start of this. HK Outsider is not a business for a start. It's a social enterprise. It's all about raising awareness of mental health and the environment and things like that. It's really personal to me, our mission and what we do. And I like sort of getting so to speak about you. But in fact, Matt's a good example. He was chatting to me, and I just had this. I knew he was going to be fit. I knew he was sharp, and he just had a very kind nature about it. It's completely quite wrong, but And you know, and I was forced to say, yeah, come along, because you can tell. It's like I can roll up and I could have 10 people standing in front of me that I've never seen before, and I know who the problem people are going to be. You can see it through their behaviour, how they're engaging, how they're prepared in advance. So we do a lot of vetting. It's very personal to me about what people can do. And if someone signs up for something I think is a little bit too much, we will make sure that they're able to do it. And more often than not, they will come along and they're happy. But we have a very sort of high guide to participant ratio, so we can have that personal attention. You know, when it's the first meeting, we'll just get to know people. I always ask, hey, what do you do, where are you from, you know, which is what I was doing with you. Because I'm interested to hear their story. I'm interested for them to feel relevant. Because I'm going to be barking at them all day long. That's not true. So our activities don't go for 3 or 4 hours, but then it's time to get back to the city again. But it's really about understanding them, and if they come again, then you can work on other things in their developments and try and push them, challenge them. Last night we went on a snake safari with William Sargent. I don't know if I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Facebook page, Snakes Hong Kong. He's one of it's his site, it's one of the moderators. We went out on a safari with him last night, and there was a girl that was frankly scared of snakes, and she didn't want to, you know, have anything to do with them, but I made her hold the snake. Because I knew she was strong enough, because I've got to know her quite well. I wanted her to break that down, because it is all about expanding that comfort zone. So it really is down to the individual, understanding who they are, engaging, connecting, and that's how we balance how we do what we do with the individuals. So that's that great question.
It's not that scary as it looks. You can all do it, and it's all about the individual, the tailored experience.
Yes.
So with that, Matthew, how has it been for you as a participant, and now that you're also part of the team, in experiencing Hong Kong wilderness, and has that helped you individually in a way?
It has actually. So, as an educator and an entertainer, I'm self-employed, so I don't have any colleagues, I don't have any teammates. So it's a very isolated industry that I'm in. I don't really get the chance to, by nature I do mix and mingle with a lot of people, but it's usually on a one-time occasion. To join HK Outsider and see the same faces every week, this gives me a sense of camaraderie and a sense of team as well, and making new friends. Not only that, it's getting me more active. Because it's very easy to think, oh, I'll go for a hike tomorrow, but then I'll be bothered, I'd rather stay home, or I'd rather have brunch with friends, or do something like that. So, to have something more regular in place and more structure, and to see the same faces, this has been very uplifting for me, especially during the pandemic, because, again, being self-employed, self-isolated, during the pandemic, it's been quite lonely in some ways.
For you found your tribe, correct? That's
absolutely, yes.
And putting together this idea of maybe we are so scared about the wilderness because we don't know. So having someone that will direct us and give us an identity in terms of a community like CreativeMornings, having a community and not being afraid of attending this event because you see the faces every time. The same thing with HK Outsider. But it also, you've been talking about the individual development and the group development. And I'm going to mention something that it's very popular now, but I wouldn't say it's a trend. It's been happening for a while, but people are talking about it more because of mental health and the isolation we have been living in through the pandemic. Adventure therapy. What is adventure therapy? Why wilderness is so important for our mental health? And how do you, the first question, what is adventure therapy for HK Outsider? Why is it important with wilderness, not just going out for a bike ride?
Multiple questions.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you. I have a big enough voice. Well, adventure therapy is being out with us. It's what helped me. I suffer from depression. I suffer from all sorts of things, but depression has been key in my life. And it was only until I discovered who I was through breaking myself down, building myself up with confidence. Everyone thinks I was Bear Grylls of Hong Kong and all these crazy things, but frankly, I've been doing it for 7 years. I just love it so much, and I'm engaged, and I'm researching, I'm doing things, I'm going out with different instructors, and it's just empowering for me. It really is a source. Adventure therapy is just getting out of your comfort zone. It's getting into the wilderness, like you were saying. Oh yeah, that's kind of weird, but this is good. And that's discovery. It's discovering what it means to you, and then the next day it's something else. A lot often people talk to me about, oh, do you do this route all the time? I said, no, but every time it could be night, it could be day, it could be raining, it could be stormy, it could be sunny. It's always a different experience. So it's the whole depth of what we do is therapy. And I think it's very important, you know, as you were saying, although I have my notes written down earlier, you know, it's very prevalent in today's society. People are talking about mental health issues, but people are not actually talking about it because there's not enough people talking about it, frankly. But it is a big problem that we're dealing with. And the environment as well. And I'm very fond of the intersection between mental health and the environment, how each can support each other if we focus our attention and get people involved in a better way. All I can say is that's what's been beneficial to me. I've seen it through the community, and participants in the community that struggle with all sorts of things, even if they're very shy, they come out of themselves. They talk to people, they're engaging. A lot of people come to meet people within our community. We've got like 1,000 people in the community. Matt says you see the same faces, not quite the same faces, but there's always a continuation of faces because some people come in for a bit, go out for a bit, some people are out of town, some people are in town. But you know, the cycle's maybe 200 people, and some people leave, and new people are coming in all the time. So it keeps it fresh, and there's so much adventure to have. I can't remember the second question. What was the second question?
You answered both. It's also a good networking scenario. We have had people that got married, engaged, babies throughout the community. Matthew?
Not Tinder.
Someone call it Tinder in the Rocksmiths.
What was the question again?
About adventure therapy, you as an educator, do you see the benefit of going out into the wilderness, and how can that help?
There is a benefit. As I touched on earlier, removing yourself from comfort zones and getting out in nature as well. Nature has a way of healing, and I think it's also, trying to find my words here. Green has a very calming colour on us. The natural colours of the environment as well. So this is one aspect of it. Also, switching off your phone and going out and doing these things, we're always on our phones. And to be able to go out and do something like this, I think it's really important. Maybe. But, I mean, most people, when they come out, they don't use their phones as much. They will tend to take pictures if they're willing to just bring their phones along or getting it out there, waterproofing. But yeah, this is a real chance to just connect with yourself and face your fears. I don't really have much more to add to that, really, other than what you said.
I might take over this. Eckhart Tolle talks about living in the now, and when you're involved in our activities, you are very focused because a lot of people, as I said, eventually took everybody, no matter how experienced you are. You're on a cliff, you've got vertical exposure, you're not quite sure what's happening, and you might fall in the water, you might fall 100 feet, 100 meters. You are truly living in the moment here. For me, it's meditation, because I'm not thinking about yesterday, tomorrow, girlfriends, money, or any of that rubbish. I'm always thinking about it. You're really focusing on what's going on in the moment, and that is a total release. So, and especially when you're really pushing yourself to try and you're overcoming a fear and you're doing something that you know is challenging, but you're going to go for it anyway. Once you get through that part of the process, or even at the end of the day, you have such a sense of achievement. That is the most amazing high you're ever going to have. And then it all absorbs back in. I mean, the phone thing is another example. You just don't even think about it. I'd send my phone over 100 messages. I wouldn't even look at it the next day. It really is very important. It gets back to the adventure therapy. Wilderness is great, interacting with nature is great, the green, the energy, the water thing for me. For me, it's about the journey, emotionally, physically. But doing the activities and challenging yourself, relaxing your mind, but also using your mind to focus that fear that you may have. I always say this about overcoming fear. You can never overcome that fear, you get comfortable with it. I'm sure you've all seen Alex Honnold's movie, where he scaled El Capitan through solo. You know, as he says, you can only expand your comfort zone by practicing. If I go somewhere new and I'm at the top of the cliff, I'm scared. But that fear keeps me focused. And it makes sure I stay alive. And I feel better, I have that high that continues to come back to me because I'm pushing my limits. And you want more at the end of it. Sometimes you want a little bit less and you walk away, but you've tried it. But that's still enough. You feel like you've accomplished something if you can have that feeling. And have that feeling of fear and focus and managing that interaction. That's really where the therapy comes through. And how you feel much stronger about yourself.
Actually, I'd like to add on to that as well. Something I found when cliff jumping, when you're stood on the edge of that cliff, and it could be 50 meters high, maybe the height of the ceiling. Yes, into the water, obviously. There's a huge, overwhelming sense of fear going through you, and you keep thinking, what if? And there's this internal voice going on, I shouldn't do this, what am I doing standing here? And you start thinking about all the things that could go wrong. But once you actually jump, the fear is gone and you're just focusing on hitting that water. So it teaches you thinking about something is actually worse than doing it. And this, I think you can carry on to anything else by, just as an example, jumping off the cliff.
I totally agree. I'm all about jumping, but I tend to say with a little peekaboo, so you kind of have an idea where you're going to land. It's not just flat in your face, but you don't stop the jump. You still jump and have that blissful feeling. We are running out of time, so my last question would be talking about being wild and going into the wilderness, but we also have to care about safety, which is one of the biggest things that HK Outsider is all about, but also because of the latest things that happen in Hong Kong, people going out without the knowledge, and unfortunately having that resource. So how can we make sure we can still go wild into the wilderness, but be safe?
This is a big topic for me. And I see the reviews for HK Outsider, which already just started doing, they constantly keep the safety, and that's what I'm conscious of, not only for my own risk, but for everyone else's safety in this as well. This is, and when you're talking about, trying to find out what something is, I never put locations on my posts. I don't want people to know. I've got a friend who has a great resource for something you probably know about, and he details how to get everywhere. And people are going, and they're dying, or they're getting seriously injured. And it's not good. I mean, it's because they don't have the experience, but they think they do. Even if you're an alcohol person somewhere else in the world, Hong Kong has very unique issues. There's soil erosion through the monsoon rains. You see, half of Hong Kong's got concrete on the side of the roads because it's about soil erosion. As one example. Really, not counting ourselves, but go with someone's experience. I honestly, things come out with us. We do lots of stuff for free, don't have to pay for anything. Obviously, some stuff you have to pay for. Come out and have an experience. It will be fun. If you go out with your friends, make sure you're going somewhere where you have someone that has experience on that trail or has experience in that activity. And make sure you check the weather conditions. The weather conditions are very, very important. At this time of the year, I'm sweating like there's no tomorrow. You should know what your sweat rate is. If I'm doing an activity, I'm doing at least 2 liters now. If you're not drinking that and dehydrated, drinking coffee that the night before and alcohol, it really affects you in this kind of weather. That's something you have to be very, very conscious about. When we're talking about creativity, Mark was talking about earlier, I'm actually in the process of putting together a series of videos and little clips about safety in Hong Kong outdoors, in particular pursuits, whether it's hiking, coasterian, canyoning, what have you. Just to give people that have more mountains and coastlines are sports. Because I think it's quite important that people understand that, because people are just going out, think they know, they don't know, and they're not aware of conditions, and it's this whole waterfall slipping and sliding is just ridiculous. footwear is very important as well. All this stuff, you gain a confidence coming with us because we're very focused on safety, the briefings and details about our activities. And I'm screaming, not in a bad way, I do make fun as well. Anyway, that's mine.
So make sure you don't go alone, and if you go wild, go with plan. Someone that can be there for you. Last words that you want to leave our audience with about HQ Outsider or wilderness in general. Let's start with Matthew.
The slogan for HK Outsider is Disrupt Your Life, and I think that's a great message to pass on to you guys today. Do something different. For example, coming along here, getting up early and coming in before work is a disruption. Most people associate the word disrupt with a negative side of things, to create a problem or be negative. We use it in a more positive way, so do something different, walk to work, or buy a plant for your office or your home or something. Change up how you do things, do something different. Don't keep repeating the same patterns and routines every day.
Thank you, Roland.
I think the simple thing is get outside, get into the wilderness and get outside your comfort zone. Push the envelope in any way that works for you. And sometimes I said everyone has different limits, and there's nothing to be shy about or aggressive about. Some people can go comfortable. Just get out there and explore yourself and explore what's in Hong Kong. We talk about the alternative side of Hong Kong, the countryside. People don't really realise what's out there. Forget the country shells. There's more to Hong Kong than the country shells. A lot more. It's very exciting. And always welcome to paradise.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Roland. I think it's time.
It's funny to see that when there's a speaker and you look at the audience, how engaged they are, and I saw everyone, their eyes were glued. So I can imagine that something has triggered. You're either, I am like that, yes, I love to go outside and be in the wilderness, or like saying, to be honest, I don't do it that often. I don't really know, it's just outside my normal day-to-day activity. But we want to change that. Hong Kong Outsider is offering about 15 of you guys to join us on an activity, on an adventure. It's going to be next week on Saturday or the week after. We have 2nd of July in mind. If you're interested, if you want to join, you can go to Theo and Esther right there and sign up. Do you want to give a little hint about what you had in mind doing?
Obviously, it depends on whether we'll make something work no matter what. As I'm all about the journey, I'm all about different environments. There will be an intersection between the city and the countryside. Then we're going to go into the jungle and then we're going to climb some waterfalls.
Climbing waterfall, that sounds good. Yeah.
Not huge, but it's going to be a little taster.
Cool. I hope you guys are excited about that. Again, sign up over there with Theo and Esther. They're waiting at us right now. You can leave your name, your phone number, email address so we can reach you. We hope that all of you sign up. We need to do 2 dates. But yeah, please sign up and join us.
We can add a bit.
So
I'll just get some more cards.
Cool. One more round, big round of applause, and then let's get started.